All right. Hello, everyone. I came across this news story. I think somebody sent it to me, and it's not really a news story. Don't let the fact that it's on a news channel on a news show fool you. It's not news. Um, John Oliver actually did a special not too long ago. I can't remember when exactly, but I can find it for you and put it in the description of this video. Where he was explaining how some companies, um, some of the sleazier companies, will pay to have their product or company or whatever it is featured on a legitimate news station, but as disguised as a news segment. It's a pretty sleazy thing, like because it legitimizes things that are not necessarily good products, things that are, kind of sketchy. In fact, he paid an actress to pretend to be selling a phony product that he made up himself. And I think it was supposed to be some sort of a vagina rejuvenating blanket, which, I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. But you know what? If you have the money, they will put you on their news channel, on their news show. And if you ever needed more proof of that, check this out. We're going to watch a little bit of this together.
Before the pandemic, when people coming to your door didn't have to wear a mask, and sometimes they were friendly members of the Jehovah's Witnesses coming to talk about faith and to gain your interest as well. They also had huge conferences through the year that drew millions. Well, that changed drastically when the COVID pandemic hit and took what seemed to be a main part of the faith away. Well, the faith and the millions who follow it still alive, and there's some noticeable changes. But they're good changes for the organization. Robert Hendricks is a U.S. spokesman for Jehovah's Witnesses. Dorian Gamble is a local media representative. Thank you both for joining me. Mr. Hendricks, I know we talked earlier, what an abrupt change, because you have millions of people through conferences around the world on a regular basis. Then when you went virtual, that was abrupt, but it seemed to have been successful.
Well, you can't plan for a pandemic. So as we think about what happened a year and a half ago, 19 months ago, it's not only unprecedented.
Oh my God, can this guy blink anymore? Anyway, so as you can see, this is being portrayed as though it's some kind of a news story, right? That ain't true. Like, I don't know, I would bet everything in my bank account right now that these dudes paid for this, because a lot of companies do this because they need exposure, but it's actually cheaper than paying for a commercial. So Jehovah's Witnesses, they've actually been putting ads on YouTube lately. I don't know if any of y'all have noticed this. Perhaps you've come across it, but Jehovah's Witnesses have actually been putting out ads on YouTube. That's a new level of desperation that I don't think I've ever seen from them before. I mean, they're really trying to fight fire with fire here because, more and more documentaries are coming out, right? And I'm sure that's pissed them off quite a bit. And they're just like, holy shit, what do we do? What else would they do? Fight fire with fire. They're like, all right, they're going to put out their crap on TV. We're going to put our crap on TV. So they do stuff like this, They put out like, oh, look, it's a news special. Like, let's see what Jehovah's Witnesses are up to. Like, nobody gives a crap what Jehovah's Witnesses are up to. I guarantee you, most of the viewing audience of this news channel, uh, this news, this news station, they don't care. They don't care what Jehovah's Witnesses are doing or how they're dealing with the pandemic. They might be interested in like something, if it were like really innovative, or like maybe if it were a bigger church, like if it were the Catholic Church, maybe people would be interested in that. I don't know. I mean, in Texas, yeah, maybe the Catholic Church, but the Jehovah's Witnesses, I guarantee you, nobody nobody is missing them at their door. In fact, everybody I've talked to lately, strangers, people out in public, whatever that I talk to and meet, will always tell me that they're annoyed because they're getting phone calls or letters now from them, and they find that to be even creepier than getting the knock at their door. So yeah, these people are getting really desperate. Let's hold on. Let me scoot up here and show like this is just like
I think
propaganda.
our brothers and sisters around the country and around the world have done very well.
And Dorian, I know that here locally as well as nationally, it's a different kind of scenario when people, instead of going and knocking on doors, it's a virtual kind of outreach. What has that experience been like for members of the organization over this, members of the faith, since it's been virtual? How has the transition gone? What kind of feedback are you getting from them?
Well, the feedback has been marvelous. The transition has been exhilarating, really. We were used to being out in the street, in the public. You probably saw our carts down on the Strand or in the medical center, or we were in the airport.
Oh yeah, I saw your carts. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, nobody cares what. Oh yeah, the transition has been awesome. It's been really amazing. Nobody cares about any of this. Like no regular viewer of this news station gives a crap about any of this. So it's obvious. It's obvious the guy has copy in front of him, copy as in like a piece of paper telling him what to read. Just like a telemarketer has a sheet of paper usually that gives them a little script of what they're supposed to talk about. And he has talking points that he's supposed to mention here. And this guy is clearly, being paid to talk about this. And they even have, Watchtower spokespeople on here as though anybody gives a crap. I guarantee you, nobody cares. And they're only doing this to try one, I would think, to try to make Jehovah's Witnesses themselves feel like they're relevant and feel like, oh look, there's Jehovah's Witnesses on the news, and here's something positive about us, because they're probably used to nothing but negative shit, being put out about them. You'll know it's a real news story about Jehovah's Witnesses when you see, uh, child sex abuse case or whatever happening, or class action lawsuit against Jehovah's Witnesses, or Jehovah's Witness arrested, or naked Jehovah's Witnesses out on the street. Like that has literally happened. Um, you'll know it's a real news story when it's something like that, because people want to know about that kind of crazy crap. But this is just nonsense. This here is just propaganda that they paid to have on TV.
And now we've really honed in our skills in talking to people in new ways. That may mean, I know you mentioned, Kimberly, you ran into people in the grocery store and they were able to share something of encouragement. For the most part, we've been contacting people via phone and letter writing and seeing marvelous results. And as a whole, locally, we've seen that many of the congregants have drawn closer to each other.
This whole process has been rather unique. The question now, Mr. Hendricks, is how long you plan to continue doing this. Obviously, you can't plan for a pandemic. You can plan to try to come out of it, though. What is the near and long-term prognosis for the virtual context?
Well, it's interesting that you say you can plan to come out of it. I think we have a good idea how to go into a pandemic because of all of our what we've done and all of our experience over the last 19 months. We don't have an idea how to come out of it. And so we're working on that. In fact, we've just in the last weekend piloted, tested meetings in 12 congregations in Puerto Rico, which is at alert level 1. So it's the only place in our branch territory in the United States that qualified to have meetings. We had localized meetings, invited guests, vaccinated, and we actually had very successful meetings this weekend. We're going.
Ugh. Yeah, successful if you're looking to cure your insomnia. Anyway, as you could tell by that guy who isn't back in the studio, reading off his little script, he doesn't actually care about any of this. I mean, you heard his voice. Like, yeah, I just want to get through this damn reading. He doesn't care about any of this. Not even a little bit. And I can almost guarantee you that everything that he's reading off that little paper is crap that Jehovah's Witnesses headquarters told him to say. Like, they probably wrote that whole thing up for him and instructed him on what to ask them so that these goofballs over here in suits can answer them back with their, predetermined answers, with their with their nonsense that was written for them. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely nobody cares when Jehovah's Witnesses are going to be able to meet in their kingdom halls again, except for Jehovah's Witnesses. And guess what? They have JW Broadcasting and JW.org and all that other crap and their local congregations on Zoom meetings telling them when all this crap's going to happen. So literally this is just to make it look to Jehovah's Witnesses themselves like, oh, look, there's something positive in the news about us. Oh, look, somebody actually cares in our community about us. I can almost guarantee you're going to see similar types of um, segments on other local news stations around the country. Wherever they can afford to pay for the fee to do this, they're going to do it. So, don't be too surprised if your local news station suddenly has one of these weird looking Jehovah's Witness news segments. It's like, they imported JW Broadcasting onto their local news station. It's unpleasant. I would so shut off the TV. You know what? I'm actually thinking of writing like an email to these people and letting them know, the kind of company that they are allowing to purchase airtime from them, because they are legitimizing these people. They're trying to basically, Jehovah's Witnesses are trying to make themselves normalized. They're trying to make themselves look more legitimate, less, less harmful than the rest of the media out there portrays them to be. The more truthful media, we'll call it. Let's take a listen again for some more of this nonsense.
To be testing that for the next 4 to 6 weeks. We're going to look at what the issues are, how to make these meetings hybrid so that they're virtual and live, so that we can provide something that over time may roll out to the rest of the country and the world.
Very impressive the way that you have already kind of pre-positioned your organization to be able to take advantage of the changes that you've had to make. Dorian, I know for the month of November you're focusing on a particular kind of outreach, and you have kind of a title to it as well, which is rather uplifting. Talk about that.
Yes, the goal of this campaign here in Houston and around the
Nobody gives a crap about their campaign. No, like why would any actual news story focus on, hey, so let's find out what Jehovah's Witnesses are passing out this month. Like, what magazine are we sending people? What are they trying to do? Like, nobody cares. That's not real news. So, in case it isn't painfully obvious to you at this point, yes, this whole little segment here, bought and paid for, 100%. And if you don't believe me, go look into that John Oliver thing that I told you about. John Oliver, like I said earlier, did a whole, show on this exact type of thing where people will pay for their sketchy ass companies and sketchy ass projects to be promoted by pretending it's a legitimate news segment where the news is like interested in this weird shit, including Jehovah's Witnesses. In case you're wondering, Black Sheep, and by the way, hey Dave, I see you there. Black Sheep, this is a news segment that was paid for by Jehovah's Witnesses on a local news station. A lot of, like I said, a lot of companies, sketchy companies and products are promoted in this way. It's supposed to legitimize it and supposed to make it look like it's a real news story or something, but it's obviously not. It was paid for. And it's really deceptive, actually, because, they really should be required to indicate that this is technically an advertisement or that this is paid promotional crap that they're putting out, because it is. I mean, when you're watching a commercial, like, during the commercial break, and that's on purpose, you're supposed to know, because then it's not deceptive. You're watching an advertisement. But this is sleazy right here. And it's not just, the Jehovah's Witnesses that do this. I mean, lots of other companies do this. They'll pay for airtime on a news channel to do this. And that's really messed up. But, there's no indication. Do you see anywhere on the screen that says, hey, this was paid for, this segment was paid for by Jehovah's Witnesses? No. I mean, even with politicians, they're required to tell you this advertisement was paid for by blah, 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 or this was paid for by our campaign office or whatever. Like, even they have more integrity than this kind of crap here. Really, really disgusting. Let's continue to listen to what old nasally voice here has to say.
World is to distribute a special edition of the Watchtower magazine with the subject, "A Better World is Near." Now, the message is about hope. And we know that hope is not what we know, but it's actually what we believe. And this magazine really bridges the gap between hope or knowledge and belief. For instance, many people in Houston have prayed the Lord's Prayer. They know it. But what does it really mean when that kingdom comes? Well, this magazine answers the question. And it's interesting as we kind of understand the importance of hope. We see that it can help us physically, but Jehovah's Witnesses believe it can help us spiritually. In fact, we believe strongly that hope is not knowing what you believe. It's actually believing what you know. So this special digital edition will be distributed one-on-one, and it will also be distributed on jw.org in a digital format.
So, and I'm assuming both Robert and Dorian that jw.org is a place to go if you want to get more information about your events that are coming up or anything else that's going on with the organization. And Mr. Hendricks, I'm guessing that you can stay on if you want to find out what's going on about how you're going to transition out of it. That may be a good place to go.
JW.org is really the most translated website in the world, more than 1,000 languages. It's available to all, and it has all the information that's needed in order to get up-to-date information on both the pandemic, where the organization is, and also to receive information on our virtual conventions, which we deliver through that site. So it's a powerful site, and we encourage those to go to it.
And
Powerful site, my ass. It's a big piece of trash on the internet. Waste of bandwidth, really. Yeah, so as you can tell, literally just crap. They're just basically repeating crap that you can find on jw.org. I mean, this feels like I'm watching a little clip from the damn website itself. It's gross. Nobody cares. Like, obviously this was paid for. It's awful. It's like having to be at a meeting, but like in the middle of real news. Like in between the real news, they put this kind of crap out. Like, thanks for wasting my time and making me want to barf. Like, I don't know. I think not only should people be outraged and like write in to these news stations about this and let them know what kind of crap they're accepting money from and promoting and allowing to take up space on their news segments, but also we need to like have a little conversation with the government about whether this kind of crap is allowed. I mean, this is deceptive advertising. Nowhere on this screen, nowhere during the entire thing does it say, "Hey, this was paid for. This is propaganda that somebody paid to put on our news um, channel." Like, why? Why is it not indicated? Because everywhere else, you're being advertised to. Well, okay, that's not true. There's a lot of places that are sketchy about advertising. But this is uncool. People really believe, for some reason. I mean, I'm not one of them, but people really believe the shit that's on the news. Like, that a bunch of old people are watching this. Like, oh, the Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, well, they're on here. They must be kind of nice, I guess. You know. No, they're doing this to spread propaganda to make their members feel like they, are worth a damn, or to make the organization, people in the organization feel like the organization is worth a damn, and like anybody outside of the organization actually gives a crap, like they're even relevant. And it's trying to normalize Jehovah's Witnesses and make them look like they're this harmless little organization that all they want to do is spread peace and love and give you their crappy magazines and make you come to their boring ass meetings where, if you have insomnia, at least that'll be fixed by the time you get out. Yeah, that's all this is. This is advertising, normalizing of a terrible organization, and technically a brainwashing tool for the members. Again, to make them feel like they're relevant, to make them feel like, you know, people outside of the organization give a damn. Which is funny because you would think they wouldn't want to be relevant out in the world, Like they wouldn't want to be part of the world. But here we are. They're over here like, oh, look, that's our organization on the news. Wow, they actually care enough to give us some airtime, you know, and that they're being fair because they're like showing us, even though they show all that awful stuff about us, they're giving us some airtime to be fair. No, they don't give a shit about being fair to Jehovah's Witnesses, the pedophile protectors. No, they're just accepting, some nice cold hard cash in exchange for letting them say whatever they want to say. They're like, yeah, go ahead, and talk about your crappy magazine. We don't care. This is like if Jehovah's Witnesses came up to your door and were like, "Hey, I'll give you like $5 if you let me just, say what I gotta say real quick and hand you a magazine." Same shit. Except, I would actually kind of welcome that. If a Jehovah's Witness wants to pay me to come to my door, come on down. And, I'll have a few words for you too, of course. Oh, Lord. Like, this is just ridiculous. Um, Anyway, let's see here. Let's let this jackass finish what he was saying before we cut this off here. Oh, before we do that, by the way, speaking of advertising, I'm not actually sponsored or anything. I wish I frickin' were, but oh my god, y'all need to try this stuff. This is good right here. This is Pepsi Black Cherry. Oh my god, good stuff. Mm. Like, I don't drink a lot of sugary soda, but damn, that shit's good. Anyway, back to hell over here. So here we go.
We'll add this, that for those who are curious about the religion, the faith as is practiced by Jehovah's Witnesses, it's a good place to go and see some similarities or differences between what you may believe and what they believe and whether or not you're a good fit as well. So Robert Hendricks, Dorian Gamble, thank you so much for what you're doing, and stay safe, and thank you for bringing us up to date on what's going on in your organization and your faith. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, so did you notice, like, throughout this whole thing that the news guy, in the studio there, he keeps going back and forth between calling it a faith and an organization, almost like he can't really decide which one it is. That's because it's technically neither. I mean, it's a fucking cult. But yeah, that he's clearly confused about like what the hell they are. So he's like, organization, faith, your MLM scam. I mean, your cult, whatever. It's just ridiculous, man. Oh Lord. But yeah, like I was saying, folks, expect more of this kind of crap. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, before you got here, Black Sheep, by the way, um, I mentioned earlier they are putting out ads on YouTube videos now. So, not to advertise for YouTube, not to shill for them or anything, but, now would be probably a good time to pay for YouTube Premium if you don't want to see any of that crap. Or hell, write into YouTube and tell them you guys are advertising for pedophile protectors, and I thought you guys, wanted to protect children. Isn't that why you turn off comments on children's videos and shit? Yeah, but here you are advertising pedophile paradise all over the damn place. It's ridiculous. So yeah, either maybe get YouTube Premium or like get a really good ad blocker because you're gonna start seeing more and more Jehovah's Witness advertisements everywhere out in the wild. You're not gonna just have to put up with this crap at your door or um, on phone calls or in your mailbox or hell uh, like out just anywhere. You're not gonna have to put up with it like anywhere just anywhere else anymore, like in the usual places you expect. You know, this you're going to be starting to see crap that you would only see on jw.org right on your television when you really don't want to see it, when you least expect it, between two legitimate news stories. This is the kind of crap you're going to get. So yeah, so much for being no part of the world, right? Guess they realized they got to start fighting fire with fire. Such a desperate move. But anyway, folks, please come back tomorrow because I will be putting up part 2 of Jehovah's Homewreckers. And keep coming back every Friday, by the way, because I will be releasing similar videos. They're all recordings of studies that I had with Jehovah's Witnesses as, an unsuspecting Bible student. Usually I tell them that I was an atheist, but that I'm questioning. So yeah, um, definitely going to be that every Friday. It has been pretty consistent for the past several weeks. So actually, go back and check those out too if you haven't seen them. I did put out another video with this same thumbnail. Yeah, it was live, but same thumbnail and everything, and it's called Jehovah's Witness Elder Admits to Protecting Pedophiles. So go check that out too if you want to hear some really messed up stuff and be able to show somebody who needs to see that. Like maybe you got a family member who doesn't realize the kind of nastiness going on, or maybe you have somebody thinking about joining. That would be a good clip to show them. It's a shortened, condensed version of a much longer conversation that I had with an elder, which is also linked in that same video. So go check that out. Check out all the older stuff that I've been posting previously, like in the past few weeks. It's worth a listen. They say some wild stuff, including like straight up trying to, do preventative like damage control, telling me about 1975 and 1914 before I even mention anything. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff you can expect to hear out of elders' mouths these days. These days, I can speak English. But all right, folks. Other than that, hopefully I'll see you around tomorrow, and perhaps even next week, and for other weeks to come. Yeah. You have a wonderful day. I will go ahead and link to this video as well, the Jehovah's Witness advertisement, if you want to watch the whole thing again by yourself or something, for God knows what reason. All right, y'all. Try to be good to each other, please. Take care of yourselves and each other. Take it easy, not sleazy, like the Jehovah's Witnesses.